Welcome to the AUA News Inside Tract podcast. Today's Inside Tract podcast is part of the Voices series, which is brought to you by the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Here we'll be joined in conversation with committee members, AUA members, and urologists from around the world to discuss how to build a strong, vibrant, and diverse urological community.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Voices. I am Dr. Denise Asafu-Adjei, Assistant Professor of Urology and Director of Male Reproductive Medicine at Loyola University Chicago-Stritch School of Medicine. And I'm happy to join you today as host for a discussion about the inaugural Global Resident Leadership Retreat at the American Urological Association's annual meeting in Chicago this year. I'll be joined by Dr. Nikita Bhatt, urology trainee, co-chair of the British Urology Researchers and Surgical Training, or BURST, Research Collaborative, and an international attendee of the Global Resident Leadership Retreat. Nikita, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Wonderful. Well, I would love to hear all about, just this phenomenal, inaugural experience. So why don't we first start off by what inspired you to even apply to, attend this retreat?
So I saw the advert back in November last year, and it just looked like a really good opportunity. I've never been to the AUA before, and as a part of the retreat, you could attend the AUA, and there was quite a generous sponsorship involved. So that was a great opportunity. And then this was happening for the first time, and it was an opportunity to meet residents from all around the world. And get trained with amazing leaders in urology. So it just looked like a wonderful opportunity for me. And I thought I'd apply and see where it takes me. And I was really lucky to get selected.
Well, congratulations on, being selected. It sounds like it was a really impactful opportunity for you. Could you just share with us maybe a session that you really enjoyed and, kind of what that did for you?
Yeah, of course. So during the first half of the day, we were split into teams, and we were working together on various leadership exercises. And as a part of that, we did this really fun challenge, which involved trying to get jewels back on ships and trying to escape pirates and storms. And we were a group of 8 women in urology, and everything got really competitive. But I had so much fun, and it was a great way of conveying teamwork and leadership by using a game. So we got to know each other really well at the end of the session. We exchanged numbers, and it was just brilliant. So I had a lot of fun during that session.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it's like Escape Room meets Survivor Urology Edition.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. No, certainly these team building activities are really important, especially when you think about trainees like yourself from just various spectrum, just across training programs geographically. So I'm sure everyone brought a lot to the table. What do you think surprised you most about the retreat? Was there something that stood out to you that you were surprised you kind of experienced or witnessed?
I suppose I was a little bit surprised by how similar everyone's experience was all around the world. So it didn't matter whether you were from Taiwan or Korea, Italy. We could all talk about the same problems and sort of issues with maternity leave in our countries and how to manage a surgical career with children and things like that, which were very similar across the board. So that kind of surprised me because I always assumed the grass is greener on the opposite side. But when we sat and talked, it was very similar.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I think you just bring up a great point. We're a lot more similar than we are different. And I think even across, country lines, as you, mentioned, you have the same experiences as a trainee, and just how can you leverage that to maybe, bring some of those kind of tools and positives, back to your program. So that's great. Now, why do you think, with this being, again, kind of this inaugural, program that, we're definitely hoping to, continue, why do you think a program like this is so important based on, what you experienced just going through it?
I think it broadened my horizons, and it helped me think of myself as a leader. I suppose during the entire course of the session, I kept thinking, when they called us leaders in urology, I kept thinking, that's not me, that's not me. But towards the end of the day, they really helped us all gain confidence and to own the next sort of phases in our careers, and to think of ourselves as leaders and responsible people in urology. And I never thought of myself as that before this. And I suppose someone mentioned that you could get something similar locally or nationally. Why would you want to go to a retreat like that? But I think the biggest advantage of that retreat is having 40 international residents in one room, and that you cannot replace that with anything. And the experiences we brought to each other and on the table, I think that's very, very special.
Yeah, that's so powerful, right? Just bringing everyone together in one setting and, being able to, optimize, like that space is really important. And I think an important point that you just mentioned for a lot of trainees, you mentioned like you went to this, even though you are clearly a leader in many regards, you're just like, I didn't think of myself as one. So it's just so interesting that even when you are at this time point in your career, how you're doing so much, but still almost not even like seeing how much you're doing at this, stage of your career. Do you think that is something that also resonated with you with some of the other trainees that you engaged with?
Absolutely. And I mean, it was coincidental that I was with a group of female residents, but I don't know if it's a male thing or if I don't want to get into sexist territory here, but I think a lot of the women on my table definitely suffered with this sort of imposter syndrome, where we thought, oh, are we really what they're saying we are? And we all had that common issue. So that was I think it's pretty similar across the board, really.
Yeah, so important. Well, it sounds like you certainly left with a lot of, tools and, kind of, empowerment to really look at yourself, in a different lens. So after the retreat, tell me what your first AUA, like what that experience was like, coming from this retreat and experiencing your first big meeting.
It was amazing. It was quite overwhelming because I'd never been to a meeting this big. So the scale is absolutely mind-blowing. I've been to, so obviously, British conferences and the European conferences, but this is on another level. It took me a day to just get to terms with what was going on and where everything was. I got lost so many times, but I got so much out of it. It was brilliant. I'd love to go again. I also went to the Residence Bowl. That was fun. And Chicago is a really nice city. So yeah, I really had a great time.
Wonderful. Of course, I'm biased because I'm in Chicago. I enjoyed the city, but and you're always going to get lost. That won't change. So the more meetings you go to, you just accept that you'll get lost at the meeting because there's so much rich content, so many people. So it's a great, great meeting. Wonderful. Well, if you had to, talk to a future class of, attendees for this retreat or even residents who may be considering this, what would you tell them about, why they should consider, applying for and attending this program?
Well, I would say that first of all, it's a great opportunity. It will help you get in touch with people at your level from across the world. You will form brilliant relationships with them that you might want to carry forward. I follow a lot of them on Twitter, and it's brilliant looking at what they're doing. It's so inspiring to watch them. And it's the program itself was excellent, and the exercises and the way it was done was really, really good. And for me, one of the highlights was towards the end, we had a panel of leaders in urology that shared their experiences. And it was just humbling to see such great names in urology that I had always watched from a distance talk to you and look at their experiences and still how humble they are at the end of it. And I think as a room, I took away so much from it collectively. And it definitely felt like it changed me and changed my perspective of what can be achieved and what I think of myself at this level. And I'd highly recommend it to anyone.
That's wonderful. And, I think to your point, just the global impact of urology and, what we do. And I think the same panels that you saw, it's going to be leaders like yourself of tomorrow who are going to be, heading up those panels and, hopefully giving some guidance and some encouragement to, trainees coming behind you. So that's wonderful. Well, Dr. Bhatt, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations again on all of your accomplishments. And I think we're all so excited to see you at more meetings. And definitely see you just continue to, be engaged and, continue to see AUA really just expand its footprint globally. So thanks so much for joining us for Voices.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an amazing opportunity. Thanks so much.
This has been Voices, an AUA News Inside Tract podcast, and is brought to you by the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. For more information about the AUA's diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, visit auanet.org/diversity.